Imagine this. You're walking through a dense prehistoric jungle. The ground trembles beneath your feet. Suddenly, a shadow blots out the sun. You look up, and it's not a bird, not even close. It's a creature the size of a jet plane with wings stretching wider than your house. Sounds like science fiction, right? But here's the twist. That was real. Dinosaurs weren't just giant lizards. They were stranger, scarier, and more mind-blowing than anything Hollywood could invent. Today, we're diving into 13 dinosaur facts so unbelievable, they'll make you question everything you thought you knew about these prehistoric giants. When most people think of dinosaurs, they picture Jurassic Park, style predators or lumbering, long-necked giants. But the reality? Dinosaurs pushed the limits of biology in ways that almost don't make sense. Take Argentinosaurus, for example. This herbivore wasn't just big, it was mind-bendingly colossal. Scientists estimate it could stretch over 100 feet long and weigh as much as 15 elephants combined. Imagine something that massive stomping through forests that once stood where South America is today. And yet, despite its size, it had to eat constantly, tearing through plants like a living lawnmower just to fuel its enormous body. On the other end of the spectrum were the predators, and some of them were just as insane. Everyone knows Tyrannosaurus rex, but meet Spinosaurus. This beast was even longer than T-Rex, stretching nearly 60 feet, with a sail-like spine on its back and adaptations that suggest it was part-time aquatic. That's right, picture a predator larger than a school bus, not just chasing prey on land, but also diving after fish in ancient rivers. And then, the extremes get even stranger. Some dinosaurs completely broke our expectations of size. Tiny raptor-like creatures, no bigger than a turkey, darted through undergrowth with razor-sharp claws and teeth. Others, like Microraptor, were feathered and had not 2 but 4 wings, making it look like something ripped straight from a fantasy novel. From giants that shook the earth to pint-sized predators with bat-like silhouettes, dinosaurs weren't just animals, they were nature's boldest experiments in survival. And this was just the beginning. Because what really made them sound like science fiction weren't just their sizes, it was the weapons they carried. If you think dinosaurs only fought with teeth and claws, think again. The prehistoric world was an arms race, and some dinosaurs carried weapons so bizarre, they sound like alien technology. Take the Ankylosaurus. This tank-like creature was covered head to tail in bony armor plates, with a massive club at the end of its tail. Imagine being a predator and getting close. One swing of that tail could shatter bones. Paleontologists believe it could deliver a blow strong enough to break A.T. Rex's legs. That's not just defense, that's prehistoric artillery. Welcome to Before Flame. Fire if you enjoyed traveling back in time with me. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next journey into our ancient past. Then there's the Therizinosaurus, one of the strangest-looking dinosaurs ever discovered. Picture a 33-foot tall giant with massive claws, each over 3 feet long. They weren't meat-shredding weapons like a raptor's. Instead, they were likely used to pull down vegetation. Still, standing face-to-face with a dinosaur wielding claws longer than a samurai sword? That feels like straight-up science fiction. And the predators had their own terrifying tools. Raptors, like the infamous Velociraptor, which, by the way, was closer to the size of a wolf than the movie monster we know, had a sickle-shaped claw on each foot. These claws weren't just sharp, they were designed to slash, hook, and hold onto prey in a coordinated attack. Even stranger, some dinosaurs didn't rely on claws or armor but intimidation. The Dilophosaurus, with its twin head crests, might have used them to display dominance or attract mates. In the harsh world of survival, even your looks could be a weapon. Dinosaurs weren't just creatures, they were walking arsenals, each adapted with weapons that seemed custom-built for survival in a world full of giants and killers. But claws and armor were only part of the story. Their behaviors, the way they hunted, moved, and even worked together, were even more mind-blowing. What made dinosaurs truly fascinating wasn't just their weapons or their size, it was how they used them. Their behaviors, strategies, and adaptations read less like natural history and more like a futuristic survival manual. Take raptors, for example. Fossil evidence suggests that some species hunted in packs. Imagine a coordinated group of agile, wolf-sized predators surrounding prey, using teamwork instead of brute force. This wasn't random chaos, it was strategy. In a world where even plants could grow taller than houses, Cooperation was the difference between eating and starving. Other dinosaurs mastered the night. Some had unusually large eye sockets, hinting at night vision. That meant while giant predators like T. rex dominated daylight, smaller species slipped into the shadows, hunting under the stars when the odds were in their favor. A prehistoric stealth mode, if you will. Communication was another superpower. Enormous Parasaurolophus had a massive, hollow crest on its head that acted like a built-in musical instrument. When it called, the sound carried for miles, echoing across valleys. Scientists believe these deep, resonating calls may have been used to warn of predators, gather the herd, or even signal mating readiness. Think about that. Dinosaurs with their own version of long-distance Wi-Fi. Even migration patterns show an intelligence we don't always credit them for. Fossilized trackways suggest herds moved together seasonally, following food and water much like elephants do today. In other words, they weren't just surviving day by day, they were planning. From night-hunting assassins to thunderous, trumpet-voiced herbivores, dinosaurs didn't just exist. They thrived with behaviors that feel more like science fiction than reality. And if that blows your mind, wait until you see how these creatures shaped the future. Here's a fact that sounds straight-up unbelievable. Dinosaurs never really went extinct. At least, not all of them. Look out your window right now. If you see a pigeon, a crow, or even a chicken, you're staring at the descendants of creatures that once ruled the earth. Birds are living dinosaurs. It wasn't always obvious. For decades, dinosaurs were painted as sluggish, reptilian brutes. But fossils told a different story. When paleontologists uncovered feather imprints alongside raptor skeletons, everything changed. Dinosaurs weren't just scaly monsters. Many were feathered, brightly colored, and agile. Velociraptor, for instance, wasn't the scaly lizard Hollywood made famous. It was feathered, sleek, and more bird-like than reptile. Then there's Archaeopteryx, often called the first bird. With feathered wings, sharp teeth, and claws, it looked like a mashup of a crow and a dragon. It wasn't a perfect flyer, more of a glider, but it proved something stunning. The line between bird and dinosaur is razor thin. But some species took things even further. Small, four-winged dinosaurs like Microraptor looked like creatures designed by a sci-fi illustrator. Feathered on both arms and legs, gliding from tree to tree like a prehistoric prototype of flight. These weren't clumsy accidents of evolution. They were experiments, nature's way of test-driving the idea of flight. So, the next time a seagull swoops down and steals your fries, remember, you just got mugged by a dinosaur. The terrifying rulers of the Mesozoic didn't vanish. They simply adapted, transformed, and live among us in skies and trees today. If nature is the ultimate inventor, then dinosaurs were some of its wildest prototypes. Their evolutionary experiments pushed biology to the edge, and many of them sound like ideas ripped straight from a sci-fi novel. Take diet, for example. Not all dinosaurs were strict plant eaters or meat eaters. Some were omnivores, willing to eat almost anything to survive. One bizarre species, Oviraptor, was first thought to be an egg thief, because it was found near fossilized eggs. Later, scientists realized it was likely guarding its own nest, meaning it wasn't just a thief but a parent, and it probably ate plants, small animals, and yes, maybe eggs, too. A dinosaur with a flexible diet was like a Swiss Army knife of survival. Then there were the physiological oddities. Sauropods, those long-necked giants, had necks stretching over 30 feet. To pump blood to a brain perched that high, their hearts may have been among the most powerful ever to exist. Imagine a creature needing a super pump just to stay alive. That's not a monster from fiction, that's biology at its boldest. Even ecosystems themselves looked like something out of a futuristic world. Picture herds of armored dinosaurs moving across plains, while predators with feathers and bright colors stalked them under skies filled with winged reptiles. Rivers were guarded by crocodile ancestors even bigger than today's, and forests echoed with sounds from crest-headed hadrosaurs calling across miles. Every environment was an alien world, but it was right here on Earth. Dinosaurs weren't just surviving, they were thriving in forms so diverse and extreme, it makes our world feel tame by comparison. And these experiments didn't just shape the past, they set the stage for life after dinosaurs were gone. Every story has an ending, and for dinosaurs, it came in the form of one of the most catastrophic events in Earth's history. About 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid slammed into what is now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The impact unleashed energy equal to billions of nuclear bombs, setting forests ablaze, sending tsunamis across oceans, and choking the skies with ash. In the aftermath, the sun's light dimmed, plants withered, and food chains collapsed. For the non-avian dinosaurs, it was the end. Giants like Tyrannosaurus rex and Triceratops disappeared forever. But here's the twist: not all dinosaurs died. The small, feathered ones, those that could fly or adapt, survived. They evolved into the birds we see today. So technically, dinosaurs are still with us, perched on wires, flapping through the skies, and even sitting on your breakfast plate in the form of scrambled eggs. But their legacy doesn't stop there. Dinosaurs show us how fragile yet adaptable life can be. They dominated Earth for over 160 million years, far longer than humans have existed, and their sudden extinction is a reminder of how quickly everything can change. It's also a warning. Climate shifts, catastrophic events, or new challenges could one day test us the way they tested dinosaurs. Yet, there's also inspiration. Dinosaurs weren't just victims. They were survivors for longer than any mammal lineage has managed so far. Their resilience, adaptability, and diversity tell us something powerful. Survival isn't just about strength, it's about change. So when we look at dinosaurs, we're not just staring into the past. We're looking at a mirror, a story of survival, loss, and reinvention that still echoes in the wings of every bird that takes to the skies today. Dinosaurs weren't just creatures of the past. They were some of nature's boldest experiments. From giants so massive they shook the earth, to bizarre, clawed plant eaters, to feathered predators that eventually evolved into the birds we see today, their story feels less like history and more like science fiction brought to life. But what's even more incredible is how much we can learn from them. Dinosaurs ruled this planet for over 160 million years, far longer than humans have even existed. Their sudden extinction is a reminder that no matter how dominant a species might seem, survival is never guaranteed. And yet, in another sense, they never really disappeared. Every bird in the sky, every crow on a rooftop, every eagle soaring over mountains, they're all living proof that dinosaurs are still with us, just in a different form. Their story is both a warning and an inspiration. A warning that life can change in an instant, and an inspiration that survival comes from adaptability, not just strength. So maybe the real question isn't about dinosaurs at all, but about us. If the dinosaurs could thrive for millions of years and then vanish so suddenly, what lessons should we take about our own future on this planet?